Welcome, West Michigan. This is Grand Tap Media, Breathing the Grand Show. Hi, my name is Pamela Kime from Kime Concept, which is producing this show. Today, I have a very special guest who you want to become neighbors with, and that is Mayor Mark Northrup of the city of Hudsonville. There's so many exciting things happening in Hudsonville, and that's why he is here today. And I want to thank you, Mayor, for being here. So we're going to tap right into it to be respectful for your time, because I know you said you had a meeting later on today, but I'm excited for you to be here. We are really good friends, as I want people to know, so I'm a little nervous, even though we can sit in a social setting and talk, but to be on camera and ask you questions and to be a good interview person, I want you to know that you're going to have to help me along here. How's that?
That's good, Pam. I appreciate you giving me your time, and I look forward to speaking to you and talking about the great city of Hudsonville.
Oh, that's great. And I will have to share with the viewers, I did live in Hudsonville for a few years before I got married and moved to Ada, which I have been dying to get David to come back this area. I know, I like Ada, and we love our golf course. You know, we're major golfers, but my dad's here in Jenison, my friends are here, I raised my kids in Grandville, so I love this area. But I haven't been able to convince him, so maybe you could next time you have a
Well, you better move fast, because Jamestown, our neighboring township, is the fastest growing township in the state, and there's lots of building construction there. So if you're thinking about moving, you better be quick.
Oh, okay. I'll work on that and see if I can work some magic there. All right, let's get right into it. There's so much going on in Hudsonville since I've lived here, and I will have to tell you, it's exciting, and I've done some things with some friends, especially some of the new development that has brought people downtown, which I'm excited about, that community. You know, I love that community come together. But you guys you received in 2017 an excellent business award, and then I'm going to get this right. You just got something just last month. The city of Hudsonville, a redevelopment ready community certification award, and I want you to share with us, you know, your vision since you've been mayor. This is going into what, your third or fourth year?
Third year.
Yeah, so a lot has happened under your leadership and your vision. And I want you to share with us, is this, when you became mayor, was that something that you saw needed to happen in Hudsonville? What was your vision and what you wanted to turn the community in when you took over?
Well, like a lot of public officials, I didn't necessarily seek the office. It was something that I was asked to fill. I was filling a seat for a city commissioner, a friend of mine who had passed away, Norm Unaman. He'd been a pillar in the community for years and years and years. When he passed away, his commission seat came open, so they needed somebody to fill his seat, and so I was appointed by the other commissioners to fill the seat. And I was fortunate to have served as a city commissioner, not elected but appointed. Into my second year, the mayor, Don Von Dossler, whispered in my ear one day that he wasn't going to run for election, and I said, "Well, that's very nice, Don." And
what does that got to do with me?
What does that do with me? And he said, "Well, I think you need to run and be the mayor." So consequently, he took me under his wings and provided a lot of mentoring. And I did run a campaign, and I was voted to be the mayor of the city of Hudsonville. Like a lot of things in life, it just kind of comes at you from out of the blue. I didn't foresee, or nor was on my journey to be a mayor of a wonderful little city like Hudsonville. But you know, sometimes things just happen that you don't expect for the right reason. It's been a real pleasure and a privilege to be the mayor of the city of Hudsonville. As you know, it's a part-time job. I'm not a full-time mayor. We have a full-time city manager that runs the city on a day-to-day basis. Okay. I typically try to see him 2 or 3 times a week, step into City Hall and make sure he understands he has the support of the city commission and the mayor in the day-to-day operations of the city. But really the running of the city is his responsibility. That is his full-time job. He's apolitical, which is nice because he's not involved in the politics. He's just here to really run the city, an efficient city. We're very fortunate to have a very good city manager. His name is Patrick Waterman, and he could easily leave for bigger cities and bigger things. But like a lot of us, he likes to hear his family's here. He's raising his kids here,
right? And
we'll see him being here for a long time.
Well, it's a great community, and it's a great school system. I mean, that was one of the things I wanted to move into this area.
You know, Pam, I see this a lot in communities where there's a lot of adversarial relationships between the school district and the city, between the city and perhaps the Chamber of Commerce, between the DDA and the City Commission. And quite frankly, we don't have that rancor or discourse in our community. people really are focused on trying to work together and do right for the community. So I have to say that the relationship we have with other agencies, other organizations in the community is very, very strong. We're very connected with what happens with the schools. Obviously, the schools draw from a population of roughly 50,000. The city of Hudsonville is only 7,000. So although they draw from a large geographic region, they have schools outside of the city. But the high school is in the city, which is obviously a big deal because that's a major focal point of the community when you have your high school in the city. We have a new freshman campus, new pool, new auditorium there. They bonded a large amount to make that happen, but it was much needed to keep our system, our city, in keeping with the other communities in the area. In particular, our swimming pool there is a very large Olympic-sized pool. We have a very good swimming programs in our city. There's just a lot going on in the city beyond the high school, but that really is a primary focal point for the city.
Well, let's talk about some of the new things that have come, especially Terra Square. You know, I've been there a few times for events, being part of the chamber. I've been events that you have put on, which was exciting. I had no idea that the development of Hudsonville, and you know, I know that you knew that Hudsonville downtown, that area, was just a drive-through for many people. And so, you know, you got together with people and said, you know what, we need to bring community together, right? Someplace where families and people can come and
I wish I could take credit for it. I just happened to be the fortunate one sitting in the seat when it happened. The city of Hudsonville had been looking at a plan for about 10 years. It was an award-winning plan, but as you know, a plan takes a lot of money and effort for execution. I came on board as the mayor just when things started to happen. As you know, the city of Hudsonville kind of became a dusty old farm town people would drive through. The downtown was long ago ripped up for the CSX train line and by Chicago Drive, when the focal point of the community was more about how fast we move people versus how much can we add value to our city and have people make it a destination. So when I came on board as the mayor, we had an opportunity to do some bonding, to use some funds to redevelop our downtown. That happening at the same time that we paid off City Hall, so consequently there was no change to what we call the millage to taxes to the community. So we managed to keep our taxes very low. We bonded for nearly $5 million. It was a sobering day when I signed for 7,000 people. I bonded the city for $5 million. My name is on that paperwork. And that was a little sobering because you're taking a chance when you say, we're going to spend some money here and we're going to define a city that's going to have a downtown, a place that people want to go and raise their families. And as you know, as is always the case, sometimes things work out, but mostly due to the fact there had been really a very good plan. We call this Imagine Hudsonville 2030 plan, and we stuck to the plan. We borrowed the money, and we redeveloped an old auto dealership in downtown that had long ago been boarded up. It was kind of in disrepair. We spent nearly $3 million of the $5 million we bonded for on that facility alone. And that facility, Terra Square, is an award-winning facility. It was voted on by my 500 peers in the state of Michigan.
Yes,
we last year awarded the Community Excellence Award, which was really a big deal with the Michigan Municipal League. It gained a lot of exposure, not just locally, but across the state and nationally, for a city that says we're going to step up and do the right thing and try to make our city something more than just another place people live. We were really at a disadvantage of not having a traditional downtown, which limited us for getting any grant money, because without a traditional downtown, you don't have an opportunity to qualify for a lot of grants. So everything we did in our downtown was out of our pocket. We had no support or help from the state or from other agencies. I mean, we really stepped up as a community to do this, which makes it a little bit unique, because I think quite often cities, particularly a city maybe in disrepair, thinks, well, they're going to have to get handouts from the state. And my position would be, you need to just do it yourself. You can't expect somebody else to come in here, or the state to come in, or the federal government to come in here with a grant. You need to stand on your own 2 feet and make this happen, and which in fact we did. We were fortunate, though, late last year, the state of Michigan found $1 million in the budget at the end of the year, and they did award us $1 million to continue to complete some of the work, in particular on Chicago Drive and completing the Woonerv, the Harvey Street Woonerv, which they're working on right now. So that additional $1 million allowed for us to complete some of the projects we had earmarked. The one project that I'm still a little bit disappointed on, we really had aspirations that we would bring a pedestrian walkway underneath Chicago Drive where the Buttermilk Creek is. Unfortunately, MDOT did not support us in that effort. They're very concerned about where the creek is and scouring of that bridge. It's a very old bridge, and they have asked us not to do that work because they're concerned that it would accelerate the wear of the bridge, and we feel we could have mitigated it, but I'm not a civil engineer. So a little bit disappointed. We are still looking at an at-grade crossing on Chicago Drive, because Chicago Drive really it cuts the city in half, and we really want to be joined together as a city once again.
That is true. It does do that.
But Terra Square, as you well know, when we were looking at Terra Square, one of the positions the city commissioners and I took with the city staff, when we were looking at this, we really said we need to look at this as a business opportunity, and we need to make sure it's a self-sustaining operation, because the city of Hudsonville, in terms of our tax base, is fairly well tapped out. We don't have much more we can gain in terms of taxes from the city, so we can't have an ongoing operation that's requiring us to pay for. We need a self-sustaining. We had a budget that said we would be there in 2 years, and quite frankly, we made it in 6 months. That Terra Square has really 4 functions. The front of the building, where the showroom was, is now a business center where young entrepreneurs can go in there and they can use office equipment. The middle part of the building is now a large reception hall. We call it a community center, which right now is rented out, I think, 40 Saturdays in the month for the year. Because there's such a strong demand for having affordable, nice places for typically for wedding receptions or graduation parties. So that's a very highly used place where a lot of brides and grooms have their wedding receptions. It's very affordable. The back half of the Bat building is a open farmers market. There's a farmers market there on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And then, of course, there's a restaurant there that was opened up by a chef that came back to the city of Hudsonville, a young man who left and learned his trade in Phoenix, came home, Nick Rusticus, and opened up a restaurant called Saunders. It is a field to table, I think, is how they.
Where is it at?
Saunders. That's right in Terra Square.
Okay.
And here again, all these operations represent some opportunity for us to rent out the facility and to have cash flow such that we can maintain the building,
And
the
then it has
garbage.
an outdoors.
And then there's
function,
also
yeah.
the outdoors there for Saunders that you can eat outside. Then, of course, Saturday is my favorite day to go down. Then the summer, there is a splash pad out there for the kids to play in on the Wooner. The challenge we really had was, will developer or commercial money follow government money? Typically as a government enterprise, you want to follow private money that's going to do the developing. But we never saw that happening. So we really stepped out and said, we're going to lead this by doing Terra Square and building this Wooner, which is a mixed-use street, with the expectation the developer will now come in and follow behind us. And we are seeing that. We saw just a few months ago, we broke ground on a facility out there called Hudson Center, which is
I read that.
which
What
is
that?
it is now a 3-story building. It's a commercial developer came in by the name of Scott Gerlings from Holland. He came in and he's built the 3-story building. Originally it was 2 stories. The first story is restaurants. Second story is commercial business activity. And then the 3rd story, we worked with him to acquire a grant from the MEDC, which is a Michigan enterprise that allows for grant money, and he put 9 apartments up there. In the Ottawa County, we're roughly 17,000 units short for housing. Housing is a very critical issue for us in our community. We need more homes, and particularly to drive the community and to fill up our schools and to have a place to live. So there's opportunities to get some money to support these kind of more apartments, affordable apartments. We're not talking low income. We're talking about people that are entry level into the workforce that just need a decent place to live and lay their head. But not more than that, a nice place where they can maybe walk on a nice city street and buy an ice cream cone and go get a bite to eat, go to the farmer's market.
To interrupt you, senior housing. I mean,
We
have an aging community.
yes, and here again,
Georgetown.
if you were to look at our strategic plan for the city, that is an issue we address there. There is a opportunity for us to build 24 units at the Hillcrest Ball Diamond. The city of Hudsonville has 26 ball diamonds. Most people don't realize
I
this.
know when you mentioned that to us over conversation, I'm like,
there
how
is
much?
there
How
is
many?
one ball diamond that's adjacent to a piece of distressed property off Hillcrest and Van Buren. And we have a developer that has offered to not just develop this piece of distressed property, which sits right in the middle of a beautiful little neighborhood, but to also take this ball diamond that's little used. Little League doesn't use it, nor do they want it. It's a little bit in disrepair, and they will be going in there with putting 24 no-step housing units that are actually very expensive, very nice, predominantly to focus on more people in the mature part of their years. They don't have a step to walk in. There will be basements in them, my understanding, but they'll be single stories. They'll be very nice units, and it'll be very nice to have that right in the middle of in that neighborhood. It will greatly enhance the value of the homes around it, and we're very excited about adding that piece of real estate in our city. So that is one opportunity. We also have the old golf course. There are 59 units going in there. Here again, those are more family style homes. The one side of the creek there is being given to the city. We will actually be picking up 10 acres of parkland from that developer, and there'll be a pond there, and there'll be a little bit of a nature center, and the bike trail will go through there and actually connect down towards the high school. So we're losing roughly 2.5 acres. We're losing the Ball Diamond Hillcrest, which, if you look in that neighborhood, there are several parks already, Hughes Park in particular, and we're gaining parkland in another part of the city.
Well, that sounds like
so it's a big win-win for the city.
Right.
Unfortunately, there are, as you would expect, and I am sensitive to it, there are some residents that like status quo. They're a little bit rattled by the fact that there's going to be a development going into their backyards, but it's really for the right reason of the community as a whole, and at the end of the day, it'll be the right reason, we think, for those people in that community by having these really nice homes inside their neighborhood instead of a vacant lot and unused ball diamond.
Right. Let's talk about Veterans Park. You know, I went to that event with that you put on.
We are very blessed. Here again, about 12 years ago, many of the city leadership decided we really needed a nice place to celebrate veterans, but more importantly, not just celebrate veterans, but a place where we could have an outdoor place where we could celebrate all kinds of things in our community. So this summer, every summer in the month of June, on Thursday evenings, we have a concert.
Okay.
That is sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, and we have bands come in there. It's kind of a natural little amphitheater there with the wall where the veterans' names are, and we have free concerts on Thursday. They have food trucks, and a lot of the local Chamber of Commerce members set up tables and hand out free gimmies and.
But you guys have a
such
great
and
commerce.
such. So we're very excited. That's been an ongoing thing. This last June, we actually had 650 attendees at one of the concerts. So we were pretty happy with the volume of people that attend those concerts. And as you know, Memorial Day, one of the ways we use that facility is we hold a Memorial Day service at Veterans Park.
Let's talk about that, because I attended, David and I, and it was, I will honestly say, Mayor, I've never attended anything like that you put on. I have been to parades. I have been to cemetery services, but a veterans services you put on, I have to tell you, okay, I'm going to share my story real quick. Okay, I know that you are, you are a former U.S. Coast Guard, and your brother you were in the Coast Guard.
My brother's Air Force, my father's Air Force.
And your father's part of that. But anyways, and your brother, Craig, was there to speak. But I will have to tell you the most amazing was when you had Captain Tom Burke.
Tom Burke.
Used to command the
USS
Ronald Reagan.
Right.
Okay, and he's become a new friend of in our circle of friends, and he just came here from Washington, Virginia area, and now he lives in West Michigan, which we're excited to have him. But when he went up there, and he did what we call the roll call, all right, and then Sergeant Peter
Kreitzfeld.
That very good. I was asking Addie to make sure I said that name right, and I've never been through anything like that. and I think it was really for me. I mean, I wasn't raised in the military, even though my dad was was in the military and was in Korean War. I never really been to anything like that. And then when he called out the names of the people, and then Sergeant Peter answered back, not present, or was it absent, sir. And probably by the third name, I literally had to take David's hand.
Sergeant Kreisfeld, front center. Attention to roll call. Lieutenant Lance Syjan.
Absent, sir.
Lieutenant Michael Blassie.
Absent, sir.
Captain Robert Morris.
Absent, sir.
Captain Mary Klinker.
Absent, sir.
Major Cecil Snyder.
Absent, sir.
Lance Corporal Jordan Harder.
Absent, sir.
Corporal Jonathan Yale.
Absent, sir.
And hold it, because I was so full of emotion. Did you know? Have you done this before? You've seen people react to that kind of, that kind of service, because I don't think I ever expected that to happen to me. But it was silent, and we were outside, and everybody was glued to Captain, Tom Burke, and then looking over to Sergeant Peter, say his name correctly for me.
Kreisfeld.
And when he said, absent, sir, I mean, it came into real life. The people that have lived in our community and they had lives, they have dreams, they were, married, maybe have children, and they were gone, and how that did. I said to David, I'm like, when I got into the car, afterwards, I'm thinking, did you feel like I did? He goes, oh yeah, that was it. And then to share, did you know that was going to bring some healing? Because there was some Vietnam vets there.
Well,
that was kind of.
My brother, being a Vietnam veteran, I think he had a need to speak to some of the veterans he knew that are no longer with us. I mean, he didn't talk just about Vietnam veterans, but several veterans he had knowledge of or knew personally. So it was an opportunity for my brother Craig to speak to things that he'd been carrying in his heart, I think in a heavy way for a lot of years. That service is obviously very special to me, being a veteran and growing up in a military family. Really kind of a solemn day. Memorial Day is about remembering those who passed and celebrating in their lives in a special way. So, sometimes I think we forget Memorial Day. It's just the holiday before the beginning of the summer. But to some of us...
I thought Memorial Day was for this. I mean, we have the 4th of July, I would think.
4th of July is the celebration,
right?
It's more the celebration.
It's more of the celebration.
So it's a matter of perspective. And you and I have talked about this a lot. I'm always a little bit taken back when people thank me for being a veteran. And I always stop and pause and I say, thank you for giving me the opportunity to have served my country. I am so uniquely privileged that I had an opportunity to put that uniform on and serve my country and serve it proudly. And I would do it again tomorrow, and I don't think you'd find a single veteran that wouldn't say those exact same words. I sometimes think we just say thank you for serving. I tell people, rather than say thank you for serving, you need to engage a vet. Where did you serve? What did you do? What did you like? What did you experience? To say thank you for serving is kind of just a rote kind of thing people just kind of say sometimes. But don't ever think otherwise. Most veterans are very proud and don't necessarily need to feel appreciated. They like to be asked about what they really did in the service. And you know what? No service member is more special than the other, because we all had the opportunity to maybe go in harm's way. Most of us didn't. Some didn't. Some still feel those pains for having gone in harm's way.
When we went back to your home, when you had a barbecue for the veterans and their family, and I think it was kind of a healing thing, and I got to have lots of conversations with people and listening to their stories. I'm telling you, I'm quite chatty, as you know me. So to sit there and just be like this, and listening to stories, and my heart going out to some of these Vietnam vets and stuff, to some of the stories they were sharing, and the different personalities each one took, because each of them some were really into severe combat, and some, I think a lot of it, there was a lot of healing there with people to share their stories. And I don't know if you experience that every year, but for us, it was a new experience for David and I to spend Memorial Day with veterans, most of them veterans, their families, what they go through, and their stories, and to just
You know, you
right?
talk about veterans too and appreciating the veterans, but I sometimes think that the forgotten element is their families and their spouses, and particularly with me and my wife. You know, when you're the veteran out there, you have control, but the family and the spouse, they're kind of just they internalize that all. They have no control of what's happening with their loved ones. So sometimes I think that the hardship is more on the family and the spouses and of our members of the service and the children.
Of the absence, and that's what you were able to have Captain Tom Burke's family there. And it was wife's birthday. We didn't even know that, but you went out and got her some flowers or something.
He spent years and years and years of his life underway, and she raised the children kind of without him being there quite often. So we forget that the spouse is kind of the other half that we need to really recognize and pay attention to.
So real quickly, just to wrap us up, what is new besides, there's a Myers coming close to us.
Yeah, the Myers,
now.
they hired 300 people. Was the hardest Myers they ever had to find a workforce to fill all the positions. It was very difficult. We have full employment here. There's want ads all over. They really struggled to find 300 people to fill up all the positions. But we're excited that they're coming into our community, and we know that we all like value of when we buy our food stuff and our clothes. So.
And then, okay, real quickly, I know we're going to go over still a little bit, but we got to talk about the castle in Grandville. It's going to affect somewhat Hudsonville. I'm just wondering if, not affected, but I meant like that. You drive by it, you see it on your way to Hudsonville.
And no doubt it's unique architecture. I don't know if that's what I would have chosen, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure that I hear that there are very nice units inside.
I hear that too.
We are short affordable housing for our workforce in the community.
Okay.
So we're excited to have additional housing available to the community. We need it. We desperately need it. We need better transportation systems. We need that infrastructure in place to support the community for it to continue to grow and have a nice place to live.
Right, because they want to attract families into the Grand Castle. So is Hudsonville going to be a possibility of a school system that maybe a family would choose? Because you think about it, it's Grandville, there'll be Jenison close by, Hudsonville, and then, of course, Grandville. And I thought, you know what, if you were with school choice or whatever, would it be something that families would be able to say, hey?
Yeah, I'm sure school choice, a lot of those people would probably look to come to Hudsonville. We do have a good school system. Jenison has good schools. Grandville has good schools. One of the challenges we have in the community is we don't have it's hard driving around here now with the amount of traffic and the condition of the roads.
It's going to be crazy over
so
there.
we're really looking with the other cities in the corridor between Holland and Grand Rapids to maybe have some kind of a mass transit system that services the whole corridor. We are looking at the CSX line for someday standing up a suburban rail line. Obviously that takes a lot of money and a lot of planning. Initially we'll probably be looking to have some kind of bus service, but Hudsonville is leading that initiative to examine whether or not we can get some kind of a transit system to support that corridor and move that workforce to the factories and to those businesses along that corridor. We think of Herman Miller and Gentex over in Zeeland. If you go that whole corridor, there's just a lot of activity, a lot of jobs that are going unfilled right now, and we need to have that transportation system and the housing to support that workforce.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to let you go because I know you said you had a meeting. That's why we got you in early. And I want to thank you for being here.
Very nice.
And I hope you will come again.
You bet I will.
All righty. It was a joy. Thank you.
You
Make me look good.
Tell
All
David.
right, thanks.
Give David hi.
Bye. Yeah, I will.